distracted on the outside of you, because let me tell you what happened. They're gonna like you or they're not gonna like you. It don't matter. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, that's all that matters. And you keep striving, keep pushing, keep going forth. All right. Stop trying to explain yourself to people, because if they know your heart, they'll know you. You don't have to explain to people who already know you. All right. So I'm ready to bring my buddy on here. I call him one of my other accountability partners. And I love him. He's an awesome man of God. But he's straight up. When I say straight up, he's straight up. I mean, straight up. So I'm going to bring him on now and tell you a little bit about him. What's up, Bish? What's up?
How you doing, Dr. D?
I'm doing great. I had to bring you on. Thank you, Bishop Eric, for being on here.
It is my esteemed privilege to be on this broadcast today, Dr. Dianna, and I appreciate you summoning me for this extraordinary task tonight. And we, of course, celebrate the audience that supports you faithfully. Of course, you can't go wrong supporting this great woman of God. She's going to another stratosphere. So
yes, will you please tell them, Bishop? Give him 2 minutes. Come on, and then we want you to introduce yourself. I am so being judged in this season. What is the foolishness? I'm being so judged because of all the changes God is taking me through, and it's like it's hard for people to grasp it. And I, I don't talk the same, I don't act the same, I don't see things the same, and sometimes you think people know you, you find out they really don't know you. Or they can't accept that you change. I always say this: you don't have to disconnect from someone just because they change. If anything, you have the opportunity and the privilege to learn more about the new them. Right. And then we always talk in the Bible, he's creating a new creature in me, but nobody wants the new creature.
Well, I mean, just biologically, Dr. D, and chronologically, you're coming the halfway mark, 50. That says it all. Wow. You can't stay the same and be 50 years old.
Wow. And if I am still the same as 25, something is really wrong. Don't you agree? Something's definitely
everything's about the shift. You are seasoned officially. And so, those of you that have been with Dr. Dianna on the ground level, gotten to the elevator on the ground level, you're about to go up to the penthouse. And this is just the process of you're going somewhere. So we just thank God. We thank God for the faithful that have been with you, are going to be with you, going to stay with you, and are going to receive the benefits and the blessing and the favor that comes with serving and working alongside you. So we celebrate you.
I am excited. I've developed a very close covenant relationship with you because you have seen, a lot more than most people would know about my transitions privately and the obstacles and things I face. And what better man of God to bring on here than a true man of God? But this is the thing I like about you. You're not so deep in religion. Like, you are truly a kingdom man of God. In other words, you live life to the fullest. You understand the greatness that God has created on the earth. You enjoy the earth's fruits. But at the same time, you have your boundaries. And I think some things, me and you have some similarities. I think mine may be a little different. I've been always open, Bishop, and I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, but I've always been open that I've been married twice. I've been divorced. One marriage was very abusive. Second marriage, we grew apart, but we began to be very good friends, after the divorce. And then shortly after that, he transitioned, and I had a lot of respect for him, regardless of what people thought. And I really cared a lot about him because he was a very important part of my development, and us having our girls together and so forth. But that's neither here or there. I just feel like, when you have so many life experience, you become an expert about things in life, marriage, the good and the bad. And I'm pretty sure there are people saying, well, what can you tell us? You've been divorced twice. I can have a lot to tell you because, now understanding, as you say, you grow and you develop and become wise, your light bulb not only come on, that revelation, you begin to see that a lot of things were you. And because of your own development, when you don't know yourself, you don't really know how to love. So, and I'm not here to point fingers. It was all him. I had a lot of play in it too. I had my part. We both had our part in it. But Bishop, you got to tell them who you are. You Bishop Eric to me. So you got to tell them who you are, where you're from, and then we're going to get into the nitty gritty.
Well, yeah, we're not going to, read my resume, but I'm simply Bishop Brown, Eric Brown, from the Bronx, New York. And now I'm in a different phase of my life. Married to Tracy Brown. And of course, we have our own story of reconciliation and restoration.
And that's going to probably come up in this discussion too, because I think it's good with this topic. Yeah.
2 children, grandchildren, retired. I'm retired, military retired, 20 years. I was the executive director for Rikers Island, chaplain for New York City Department of Corrections, and been pastoring for 25 years and, all of that good stuff. But, right now we're just going to go into this relevant topic, in terms of, Dr. Dianna just get right to that's why we connect, because she gets right to the root of it. What makes him cheat, which is, but we're basically talking about relationships.
Yeah.
And what leads up to that. And I'm glad that, she is bringing some statistics and all of that included in this particular topic. But even with this pandemic, everybody is, I think the relational desire has heightened, because now you not only have to deal with you, but if you're already in a relationship, you have to deal with someone that you may thought you knew, but you don't know. And then you have to deal with the desire to even be with someone has heightened because of the isolation. You don't have the same social settings that you had before the pandemic. And basically, those of us, of course, that are in the church part of the kingdom have to get to either know God deeper, better, or deal with the frustration of just trying to live in isolation with so many people are not, being satisfied or fulfilled in an isolation separation setting. So a lot is coming to the surface. Everything's coming up to the surface.
Yes.
Deal with. Absolutely.
Bishop, will you tell them where you're from, though? Tell them where you're from.
Oh, I'm from New York City, Bronx, New York, born in Harlem, raised in Bronx, New York. And of course, I've traveled all over, because of the military career and, of course, ministry. But I am a New York City slicker. And you've seen
it all. You've done it. You've seen it all. Let's just be honest. I'm a country girl, but I haven't done it all, but probably close to it. Let's just be honest. We've seen a lot.
Let's just say we've been around the block. We've been around the block,
and we know the games. Absolutely. We know the hustle. And even though I'm not quite street savvy, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna be very transparent. And guys, I don't know why y'all not sharing. I don't know. I'm telling you, it's about to get heated up, so you need to share. I'm gonna be very transparent. Ministry has been the streets for me.
Sure, absolutely.
Ministry now, not the essence of the foundation of God and what he does, but we in ministry, some people in ministry, leaders in ministry that not quite walking the walk is like you have to learn the street. And my street has been ministry. I've learned the hustling in it. I've seen it all. It is, but I also seen it in the pews too. It's not just in the pulpit. Everybody hollering about the pulpit, but people don't understand the pulpit is a reflection of the pew.
Absolutely. Your relationship with God not necessarily coincides with going to church. There's a difference between God and church.
Yeah.
And so church is not for the faint-hearted. Matter of fact, you become harder. You can become more hard-hearted in church. And some of your most dramatic experiences can be inside of church and your church relationships.
Yeah.
And you didn't, because it catches you by surprise that how can church folk be so mean and be so abusive? Or how can you be caught up in things that you left the world for, and not only to find it in the church? And how can you have infidelity in the church while you're serving in the church? How can you be hurt in the church?
This is why, let me take a sip. I'm gonna do like Prophet Johnson would say, I'm gonna take a sip. I'm gonna take a sip right here. Okay.
But as long as you have anything human, you're going to have imperfection, and you're going to have to learn that. And those of us that are on the line, you're going to have to swim through some murky, some dark, some pretty swampy things in order to get to your blessing and to the favor in the next level in God. You're going to have to swim through it. There's no way around it. And some of the deepest, darkest things that you'll ever experience are found inside the walls of church.
Now I'm gonna tell you this, and then we're gonna go ahead and get in. This is like our prelude to the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go even further with this because I've been like, having my little mountain experience. I know people have been kind of measuring and judging that mountain experience. When you on Facebook, because people don't understand God deals with you in certain ways, and some things that I
Sure.
do, it helps me, it minister to me. I think most people don't know that when we minister, we're also being ministered to.
Absolutely.
And so people seem to not quite understand that. But one of the biggest things, Bishop Avery, that I'm seeing is that a lot of times the atmospheres of church and the certain experiences you have, it's funny now, and I guess because I'm getting in that age, or I'm seeing a different level of relationship with God, that He's showing me so much in my atmosphere, not on people, but atmosphere. Now I want you to
Mm-hmm.
hear what I just. He don't have me looking at people. He has me looking now at atmosphere, and
Mm-hmm.
what do I contribute to that atmosphere?
Okay.
And so one of the things he's dealing with me recently is that if I would take and maximize in the atmosphere I'm in to see what in me I need to change
Mm-hmm.
versus looking at everybody outside of me need to change,
Okay.
whether it's the leader, whether it's the person at the door, no matter what I'm facing, my whole perception should be, what is it about me that I need to get out of this, and what it is that I need to change in the midst of this. And
Mm-hmm.
so it is my prayer that we as the body of Christ stop pointing fingers necessary at the pulpit and at the door, and start taking those same fingers and looking at ourselves.
Okay.
Because we're expecting people to be certain things that we're not living in ourselves. I'm gonna say that again. We're expecting leaders and some people to be certain things that we are not even willing to live ourselves. But we want
Absolutely.
the example, but why can't you be the example? And so that is what I'm facing. Now, can we get to the nitty gritty?
I'm glad you said that, because living for God is not easy. It is extremely difficult, and you
Yeah,
have to have a mindset that I've decided that I'm going to live for Jesus. Period. If not,
yeah,
you will not survive. That's it. It's hard. We take our hats off to those that most people in church are single. There's an extreme gender gap.
right,
In
right.
terms of gender, in terms of family, marriages versus
I'm
single
single.
in church, and so you have to let them know that your journey will not be easy.
Yeah,
And to face the fact, this is a fact, Dr. D, that you may be single for the rest of your life.
yeah. And I'm gonna tell you something. I wouldn't
Everybody,
want that, but I've come to the reality. I'm willing to accept that.
a lot of people
Um,
won't swallow it. They will not
yeah,
swallow it, and they will marry or get with anything just to reject that. The devil is a lie, not me. Okay.
yeah. But it's true. But I'm also tell you this. You told me this about 2 years ago. You
Yeah.
said that you'll find that some prophets don't get, because the mantle on
Oh,
their life of the call. Remember we had that conversation. You
that's
remember that
right.
conversation we
That's
had about a
exactly
couple of
right.
years ago?
That's right.
That
That's right.
sometimes people don't understand that a prophet is not necessarily deemed to be alone, but sometimes what the assignment involves, a spouse couldn't handle it.
Exactly.
A spouse really couldn't handle it if they did not understand the function and the operation of that mantle on that person's life. So
The
sometimes we beat
anointing on them is
ourselves.
too great. It's too great.
Right,
Too great.
right. And so sometimes we beat ourselves against, we beat things against our head thinking, what's wrong with me? And it could be what you're carrying is just not
Absolutely.
the timing for
That's
what it
it.
is that you're seeking, because it would distract you if you're not careful.
And Dr. Diana, God has that right.
Yeah, he does. He
Really,
does.
he has
And
that
he don't
right
have
to
to
say,
consult you on it, does he? He
you
don't have to
are
consult you.
mine. Period. That's
Yeah,
it. You're
he
mine.
don't have to consult you on that. Okay, so this is what I want to do. You talked about some main points. You talked about the pandemic.
Yeah.
And the reason I wanted to go with this topic, I really prayed on it. I want to go with this topic because everybody's getting ready for Valentine's, and I'm gonna tell you what I see. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what I'm seeing. I'm seeing some people because they just don't want to be alone. They go back to the joker or the woman that they know don't mean them no good. I'm seeing that people just gotta have something on that day. I'm used to not having, but some people feel like they just gotta have something on that day that they'll go back to the black book or the Rolodex. I'm gonna just be honest and pull out and say, "What you doing? Well, let's do something together." You got to be careful because sometimes we'll send ourselves back to cycles that we're trying to be delivered from. And if
That's
we're
right.
not careful, and if we become so vulnerable that we become a victim of ourselves, we become the perpetrator of ourselves.
Yeah.
And so I want to do this. I want to go and talk about statistics. I believe I want tonight to be, when you begin to go in and really help us, Bishop, I don't want to just be us talking. I want to bring up some real truth.
Okay.
And so the first thing I want to do, let's talk about, we're going to kind of talk about marriages and divorces.
Okay.
But it starts somewhere, and it starts with dating. You know, we say dating is collecting data, as they say, but it starts with meeting someone, getting acquainted with them, and then deciding to date. You know, in old terms, they would say courting or whatever, and then you're courting a little while, and then you get your feel, you get your understandings and conversations, and then you go into that place of that proposal or that engagement, and then to marriage. But there's another
The
piece.
old folk use the word shacking.
The shacking, yeah. But then there's that other piece that we got to talk about, and that's the divorce.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So something happened. Okay, here's the end result. You get a divorce. But what happened between Google Eyes, staying up late in the night? Y'all know I'm telling the truth. Staying up late at night, talking to 3 in the morning, playing every love song that you hear, fixing yourself up, getting excited till you in the court.
Mm-hmm.
You went from late night on the phone, Google Eye, to now you in the courthouse saying, I can't stand you. I don't like you. You make me sick. What happened? And that's what I want to talk about. So let's go into statistics. The first, I'm going to bring the first one up, which is amazing to me. This is all research based, everybody. So I really want you guys, why are you not sharing? You need to share this, because those who are inspiring to be married, I want you to have some facts. Those that are in the marriage, I want you to find things you can work on to save your marriage. Those that are thinking about marriage, I want you to go ahead and have these conversations with your partner before you go that far, because we want to be able to answer the main question. That is, can someone love you but yet cheats on you and lies to you? We're going to answer that at the very end. But let's talk about the statistic. You look at statistic, it says basically 50% of marriages in the United States, and this is all based within the last year.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like within the last year, 50% of all marriages. That's half of our population. That's half, either divorced or separated.
Okay.
And 40%, 41%, according to statistics, saying first marriage is going to end up in divorce. That's major.
That's high. Mm-hmm.
That's major.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first fact. I'm going to give them another fact, and all this is fact. This was major to me. The major contributors of factors of divorces are lack of commitment, and commitment in the sense of, you know, you said y'all had some things planned out and somebody reneged on what you plan on doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give you an example. I did a marriage counselor thing. Well, of course, I had a counterpart male with me because of my status of being divorced, and then me being a female considered single. I wanted to have another male in the conversation. It was amazing because, you know, when you have the premarital counseling, and I know you've been in many of them, they talk about their goals and what they're going to do. And then when we do the follow-up, they didn't follow none of the stuff they said they were going to do.
Right.
And so now there's friction in the follow-up that wasn't done in the plan. So when we say lack of commitment, it could be like, one say, you go to school now, and I'm going to go to school, you finish school. Well, that person finished school, but that person didn't get to go to school because now the person want to do something else. So you have that lag. Infidelity, conflict and arguing. But they said the most common final straw is when you have the infidelity, domestic violence, and substance use. Those are the three key things. I was surprised because financial part was not really in there. It's not to say it's not in there, but it's not one of the key things. One of the key things is the cheating.
Right.
The cheating is one of the key things, and the arguing, the bickering. You know, some people just want to get out because the bickering is so heavy. I don't know. Listen, if you're married, if you know married couples that are struggling right now, whatever, y'all need to be sharing this. I'm serious. We're about helping people tonight. And if you're in a relationship, maybe boyfriend and girlfriend, you're really serious and want to get married, you need to look at these things we're talking about. You ready for the next fact, Bishop?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, let's go to another fact. Now, this was something that was pretty big to me. The high risk of divorce usually comes from either marrying too young, have limited education or income. That's where the income comes in. Living together before marriage, that was major to me. I didn't think that, but that is one of the factors why divorce comes, because, and I've heard this from some people I know, they live together for a while. They get so common with it. It's so easy. How they used to say, bitch, what's the old saying? You give the milk, the milk gave up. What is it? The cow and the
Yeah, you take the milk before the cow.
I knew it was something like that. See how young I am. I couldn't remember that statement.
Right,
But
right, right, right.
anyway, so that was one of the reasons. Premarital pregnancies. Some
Yeah,
people
that's a
get
big
married
issue.
just because the person is pregnant, and then because you got them pregnant, you think you obligated to marry them. I think that comes from an old traditional way. Back in that was respected. They would call you make the woman respectful when you
Right.
when you. But it's kind of like in the Bible when Joseph's like, wait a minute, how you got pregnant? I didn't get you pregnant.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and then, of course, I was amazed. No religious affiliation. That means they're not going to church. They're not involved with a faith-based belief system.
Hmm.
Or I saw another study where they both have different beliefs, and it
Okay.
clash.
Okay.
Because the head, man feel like you should give up what you believe and come with me. And then the woman's like, no, but this is what I've done all my life. This is sustain me. Why should I leave that now? We married. And
Hmm.
then, of course, coming from, it should say just not the comment, but it says coming from a divorced family. If you've already had a history of divorce being in your family, this has
Right.
become your norm. This has become your
Correct.
average. And then
Hmm.
the biggest thing I saw was insecurity.
Hmm.
You
Wow.
marry someone and they all in your phone book, they chasing you, they try to figure out what you're doing because they're insecure about themselves.
Right.
The
Right.
flip side of that, the person that's insecure will try to make you think you crazy.
Hmm. Trust issues. Trust
Yeah,
issues.
yeah.
Hmm.
Couple more, and then okay, let's do this. Let's stop right here. You want to talk about these few things, and because it goes back to the same question: can someone love you but yet cheats on you or lies to you?
Hmm. Hmm.
What what will be your answer?
Well, when I look at these components here that you've listed in terms of marrying young, limited education, these are factors for the high risk of divorce. But just relationships in general is taking a risk. And of course, this is just overall statistics. And of course, even Christian marriages have the same high
Right.
divorce rate. They have the same high divorce rate in the
Yeah.
church, if not higher. Those that are supposed to have marriages that last, as opposed to those that do not.
I
But
can tell you what the statistic. When I looked it up, and I should have put that, I didn't add it on here. It was
yeah,
roughly like 57 to 58%
that's
of
correct. That's right.
Christians, yeah,
That's
divorce.
right.
It's
That's right.
high.
That's right. That's right. I think, and when it comes in terms to, let's just get to the infidelity part of it. I think that society in general has become immune, to it over the years. They no longer fear, indiscretions because we hear it so much. It's advertised and glamorized so much. It's a media platform. It's what we have.
Okay.
It's what we feed our spirits all the time. So we're immune to it. We're desensitized. It's no longer taboo as it used to be in the baby boomer generations and other generations before this time. And so now it's more commonplace, even more acceptable, if you will. It's not a big deal. You will get past it. It's almost common. It's almost the norm to start over. So we have different
Wow.
norms. We have different norms now
Wow.
in terms of just expectations. In my generation, you were expected when you got married that you stay married until death. I mean, that was the general consensus.
Mm-hmm.
But now, they have options. If we, it's like it's not expected to have a lifetime expectancy. So the mindset is much different in today's times than it was in times past. But does that make it right? Does it make it right? I think it's still expected that if you find a partner, that partner has come into your life for
Mm-hmm.
for a lifetime together.
Right. I totally
And,
agree. I
and
totally
and
agree.
and so there is a remnant that is still trying to raise that flag and say,
Mm-hmm.
this is a life expectancy. You let's work this journey for life. And to know that marriage will have its difficulties and its challenges,
Right.
not only naturally but even spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
And then because of the LGBTQ movement now. We have all these different norms, the transgender agenda, all these different norms. So we have a lot of external issues. And then, of course, we have, same-sex relationships that want to, even, eHarmony and all of these dating sites now have made a consensus just for a lot of these platforms, and not just for heterosexual, but same-sex unions. So now,
well, Bishop, I got to go here with you, and I bet this is not going to shock you, right? I had to dig a little more because I'm like, who's filing these divorces?
Yeah.
Do you think it's men or women doing the more? Which one you think?
I would assume it's women.
You're right.
Yeah.
We're initiating it.
Yeah. Yeah.
70% of them is initiated by us.
And domestic violence, just to let you know, domestic violence is a major issue. Violence in general, but domestic violence is a major issue, not only in heterosexual relationships, but even in same-sex relationships. Domestic violence is an issue that will break up just relationships as well. And I think the infidelity part is just a trigger. It's a result of triggers that come in between a committed relationship.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the major regions. What triggers? What are your triggers?
Right.
What is your expectation? People just don't have the mindset to suffer.
Well, I'm gonna bring that brings me up. The main three reasons they are saying that women are initiating, here they are. They feel that they are held back because of their marriage. Number two, in research, it said that women take on more of the emotional burden. They feel very emotionally wrecked. And I looked at that. They were basically feeling that their husband or their spouse or partner just didn't seem to care about anything that was going on. They felt as if, you didn't care how I feel, So that's what that's stemming from. And then women felt like they no longer can take the cheating or the lying or the excuses. And they kept saying consistently. I didn't put that in there, but they say consistent unacceptable behavior. So it wasn't that the women, from their standpoint, wasn't willing to work it, but when the issue keep happening over and over and over again, they just quickly want to give up.
And it's true. I would feel that women tolerated a lot more in times past. They were a lot less vocal. They were silent sufferers, tremendous, abusive relation that they just suffered through. Not every relationship, no. But women tolerated. They had the children. They birthed the children. They took care of the home, and they were bivocational as well. Later on, down through the years, just through statistics, they became a lot more professional and in the workplace because of, financial challenges. But there was a different mindset with women in terms of what they dealt with, carried, accepted, and what they passed down to their daughters in terms of generationally. And so now you have women that are a lot more educated, that have, and by all means, I feel that women shouldn't have to accept or tolerate unacceptable behavior, that men have to take on more responsibility towards a relationship. And also that old good old boy club, has to be challenged. And that whether you're in the church as a man of God or just a good guy, with no religion, just having some self-respect or any kind of moral compass at all, you would want to respect, Aretha Franklin, RESPECT, just respect the relationship, respect the fact that you can hurt someone if you cheat on someone or bring home some sort of disease, because a lot of things are deadly now, and just have a child, in another relationship. And I think, Dr. D, a lot of stuff has to do with background, what you have been raised or exposed to.
Yes, I totally agree with you.
If you came up in an abusive household, if you came up and you were around family members that have a lot of kids out of wedlock or outside of their marriage, it's hard not to drink some of that poison and implement that in your own reenactment, in your own behavior.
I'm
In
gonna
other
give you,
words,
I'm
yeah.
gonna interrupt you. But I'm gonna give you a flip side of that. My
Hmm.
first divorce, and I'm open, I'm transparent, was
Hmm.
abusive, verbally and physical.
Okay.
And I stayed in it. I didn't, and the marriage didn't last for about probably a little bit over a year. I'm very transparent about my situation because I want somebody to be saved and delivered, and So I mean, I have no. When they say you don't have nothing to hide, I have nothing to hide. But it became the very domestic violence, and I actually stayed in it opposite of that. I stayed in because my mom and dad was married for a long period of time. Matter of fact, they just celebrated 50 years
Oh,
of
wow.
marriage, and
Wow.
I've seen it. I mean, they had their ups and downs, but my family honored marriage. So I felt the pressure, and your parents can tell you you don't need to marry, you don't need to marry, but you just think at that time. And I was 24. I wasn't even I finished college. I was 24, but I felt like I knew what I was doing. Not only knowing him for like 6, 7 months, I didn't know him long. He was 10 years older than me. But
Hmm.
long story short, I fought to get out of this abusive relationship only because my parents had been married, and I had the idea that you stick together no matter what it is, you stay in it. And so I had to realize, wait a minute, I'm becoming dysfunction. I'm becoming what I'm in. And then it was to the point one of us gonna leave with a body bag, gonna leave out with a body bag, and it wasn't going to be me. So I decided. I mean, I wasn't being funny. I was just being honest. It became worse. Now, did I see any of that before the marriage? No,
Hmm.
that didn't happen until after I said yes.
Of course, dating is all good. I mean, most of the time, of course, there's some things you can't hide. And in a mature relationship, you're going to open up your bag in front of each other. But you got to find out what the background history is. Okay, what do you still go to the strip club?
Yeah, I
How many
got you. I got
relationships
you.
have you had before you met me?
And do you
Have
still
you
have
ever
all the
cheated?
girls' phone number in your phone? Do they still call you? Y'all still buddies now?
How many of your girlfriends have you cheated on, or have you been cheated on yourself? You have to be candid in terms of a background. And the problem is, a lot of people think that they can change people. Oh, I can change that, honey. I'm better than all of them. Okay, we'll see.
You think that? I know that was the first marriage. You are on it. I mean, you
That,
sure you're not lights in the
that-
camera? I know
and
you are.
you have to, at least when a person tells you who they are, believe them. And
You
you have to
have to
say to
believe it.
yourself, and no matter how good they look or how much you feel, the attraction, you have to be realistic with yourself and
Yeah.
say, no, if you're still going to the strip club and you all go every weekend, you're not going to stop just because you get married to me.
Right. Right. Right.
You
And
might
it's
slow down.
amazing.
You might
Yeah.
slow down, but you have
You're
to be
right.
realistic. But
Well,
you
let's.
bring up a very, very valid point:
Yeah.
verbal abuse. But verbal abuse is not just women being verbally abused; men are verbally abused too. You
Let's
know,
go there. You open up. Let's talk about.
and
Let's
you know what
find
a
out.
curse word is to a man. You know what a curse word is to a man?
What's that?
No, no is a curse word.
Wait. Here we go. You ready? Are you ready? Let me tell you how so good you are. So I said, okay, why are the men? This is